Okay,
Welcome, doctor.
as of today, it's a beautiful journey. As I told you, 81 episodes. Today is the 81st episode. Fantastic. Thank you very much for giving this wonderful opportunity. Now, today's topic is something like what you see on the board there. It's called gluten and our gut. That means there is something with this particular word gluten and our intestines. I felt that this is a very, very important ingredient which we have been consuming without our knowledge, and the effects of it is something uh, very, very detrimental where in terms of the disease activation. And whether you like it or not, we all are, having this gluten indirectly in our food without our knowledge. But once you understand that there is something about this gluten which you should know, and then if you can avoid it, maybe many of you would tell me, doctor, as of now, I don't have any issues and everything is okay. I'm passing my bowels every day, one time or two times. I don't have any issues. Yes, fine, very good. But still, haven't you seen your friends? Haven't you seen many of the people around you when they go meet a doctor and suddenly the doctor will say your colon has cancer and it's already stage 4. This I have heard it very, very commonly. So that means what has been happening? There is some damage happening over a long period, and then finally your body manifests in the form of a disease called cancer. And then once a cancer sets in, it's another major problem we all face. So let's go into the details of knowing what exactly is this gluten all about. If you look at the word gluten, Gluten, inside that there are three letters already included in it, which your gut system is already included in it. That means gluten affects your gut system. Gut means it includes from the mouth until your external orifice, which clears your bowels. But we are more concerned about your small intestine and the large intestine, and mostly it will be affecting your large intestine. Now, when you go background, what I am trying to do is basically I'm talking about the body, mind, and the soul. Soul, let us not talk. But if we can keep very healthy, is very, very important. In that, I'm talking about your intestines, your gut. If your gut health is good, there are a lot of good benefits you would be acquiring. And at the same time, if you keep your mind very calm, of course, haven't you heard people saying, butterfly in your stomach? What does it mean? Butterfly in your stomach, you feel uneasy. It's not really your butterflies in your stomach, but it is a feeling of uneasy. Why is that? It's your mind, the energy feels. Certain places you go, you feel very uneasy. Why is that? Because the vibration of that particular place doesn't go hand in hand with your vibration, and that in turn. So now, if you're looking at the body healthy, your mind healthy, then automatically your soul has to be healthy, right? Saying that, this particular thing you would have seen in most of the nowadays. I have not seen this gluten-free advertisement, gluten-free products. Maybe around 8 years or 10 years ago, I have never seen it. Why? Because that time we were not bothered about it, and then we were just having everything. And then when we started looking at things, and especially the diseases, we came to understand, especially in my medical field, I started opening my eyes to this word called gluten only 7 years ago. Before that, of course, I never looked into it. Now, how did I get into this particular gluten is when we were doing our hair analysis, what I found was many people, the food avoidance message in that particular report was avoid wheat, avoid rye, and avoid barley. These are the three things very commonly. I was wondering why is the hair analysis report telling me. Then when I started going inside, and when our doctor fraternity, especially in the epigenetic wellness group, we were discussing, we understood that there is something called gluten inside this barley, wheat, and rye, and which in turn is causing the problem. This is what we found out. And after that, I started going inside deeper and deeper. And then when we started looking at it, there were a lot of good things we could pick it up from this particular word called gluten, and then when you avoid it, you're able to see a lot of changes in terms of the person's disease process, in the health wise, the gut everything started improving the moment they started avoiding it. Either you are sensitive or allergic to gluten. It doesn't matter. Many a times, even if you are not allergic to, you might be sensitive to gluten, and which in turn can give rise to a lot of problems. So saying that, my question is, how many of you have a bloating sensation? You feel very uneasy. Belching means you bring out the air this side. Then uneasy feeling of the stomach. You have your food and then very uneasy. And before food also you'll feel uneasy. Then constipation. That means you're not clearing your bowels. I have heard people clearing the bowels 5 days once, 6 days once. Can you believe people are there? And then there are on the other side people having, like going to toilet every meal. The moment they eat something, they have to rush to the toilet because whatever they had a little bit earlier, it goes down, gets indigested, totally there stuck, and slowly comes out. Now, there are sometimes you would notice that your stools is not fully formed. You can see like what you eat. The grains are also down there in your poop, wherein it is seen there without getting digested. Sometimes you can see that. Passing worms, that is another not good sign for you because worms are enjoying their health inside your intestines, happily eating your food. And especially this one, the last one, smelly releasing of gas. When it comes out, it really smells. You can't stand it. It will like a hydrogen sulfide, that smell you cannot. You would have seen in a public places, you would have seen, especially people, farting, and then automatically that whole area will be so pungent that you will not be able to see. You will feel like, gasping for air that time. We do see human beings with this kind of situations. But now the question is, if your gut is very healthy, number one, you all will pass bowels at least 1 to 2 times in a day. It's a clear formed stools. Number one, you won't have any uneasiness in your stomach before food or after food. You won't have any uneasiness. And farting becomes, releasing the gas is there. Now, one thing you should, just keep in mind is why does so much of gas? One is the gas formation is because of when you eat a lot of lentils and the big, we call it as chanas in our big grains. When you eat this, definitely there's a lot of gas formed automatically because of that particular food grain. That is on one side will produce gas. But there are on the other side, which is your bad bacteria. The bad bacteria also leave some gases, including methane, inside your stomach. Now, where should this gas come out? It can't come out just somewhere. There are only two orifices. It has to come one down and one up. It has to come only these two ways. But coming up will be a little difficult because forming in a small intestine and passing all the way up and then coming out here will be little difficult. But most of the gas formed in the stomach, that can come out as belching very easily. But still, many times you would have noticed that especially when you belch out, it is a very not nice good smell when you bring that belching out. It will be the unprocessed food and the gases from the intestine which is coming out, which you yourself will feel very uneasy. Now, these are all indication that your intestines are not healthy. So what are you going to do if you're not if your intestines? Let's go and see what are the common sources of gluten. So we should know get into the details of from where is this gluten getting into and then what exactly is. Number one, today if you see, we have our Massimo's bread, hi-fi bread, everything is available in the market. And most of us, you go to any five-star restaurants, five-star hotels, if your breakfast is free, the first thing they would have kept there is a bread for you to toast and then little butter and jam. It will be the bread is an integral part of any restaurants or hotels. Now, bread is another area where you would have this gluten inside because it's produced from wheat. That's the reason it is definitely a situation where you need to look into it. But there are some bread which is labeled as gluten free. There are. So if it is a gluten free, of course it's good for you because you're avoiding that gluten coming into your body. Lot of baked food items, especially in the bakeries, they will definitely go for cheaper flours, and so in turn, of course, they will have gluten. But at the same time, you see, bakeries will be displaying the products as gluten free. That means they have gone in for a little. But if you see the pricing of those products, will be definitely much higher. Even the baked goods like your cakes, your cookies, your donuts, your muffins, your pies contain glucose, including the pancakes and waffles. It does have. Then pasta. Pasta is another very common food, Italian dish, wherein a lot of people love it. But you should just look into it whether it does contain gluten. If it is not, then very good. And all the wheat pastas contain gluten, including spaghettis, fettuccine, macaroni, then ravioli, cereals. Now, very commonly you see in our 99 markets and other places, cereals are available. Now, these cereals also, including oats, not all oats are gluten-free. Even oats do contain a little bit of gluten. So please look into the label. See, always I would request every one of you that whenever you go to any shops, when you buy a product, please look into the label. What are the ingredients in it? What does it contain? How much does it contain? So everything, if you read, and then only when you buy, you will understand that the value of your body is so much that you look into every information given on the label down there. Most of the time, the advertisement, what they give on the television or on the papers or on the brochures is just eye catchy and very nice for you, and you will just go and buy. But you need to understand once your body gets damaged after eating that particular food, now, who is going to give you back that health? Nobody is going to give you back. So here you are supposed to be a little more careful. So learn to know what you are eating, learn to know what you should eat, and learn to know what is there inside the product. And of course, as you say, not all the breakfast cereals contain wheat, definitely, but many do have it. So be sure to check the nutrition labels, and also be aware that the oats are often raised and processed with wheat. See here. So this is where you need to see if is it a gluten-free oats. So therefore, unless they are labeled as a gluten-free, oat product also contain gluten. Now, I'm not generalizing the statement that every one of you down here, should avoid all these food habits, because it's not, you don't have any gluten issues, so why should you avoid the food? What I would request you is, you do not consume it on a daily basis. If you are not consuming on a daily basis, it's fine, no issues. The reason is, if at all, if you're looking at any gut issue, any intestinal issues, or any disease for that matter to manifest, it need not be gut alone. That means it is not only your stomach bloating or belching or feeling uneasiness is only problem because you're eating gluten. No, it is not that. There are other diseases which can be manifested because of the gluten, which really rips off your intestinal lining. When I say rips off, means that means it's really damages the intestinal wall. If it damages the intestinal, imagine when is it going to get healed? When is it going to get out of this the gluten allergic manifestation which is happening inside your gut? When is it going to stop? Because every day you're eating, every day there is some damage happening. But once certain times after years of eating, definitely you will have a lot of problems related with your gut or other diseases. I will tell you what are the other diseases. Crackers, very commonly seen in the markets here, yeah, is another very important food which we buy it randomly. Now I see a lot of people, purchasing from the touring it shop. Have you seen? Last time touring it shop didn't have much of food items, but today you see the touring it shop, now it's 250. You can see a lot of food items. It's very cheap, just touring it's 50 cents. You get such a big, box of biscuits, wafers, a lot of chocolates. Everything is just touring it's 50 cents. And I always will think, what kind of cheap product is this? And then definitely these will have a lot of gluten. Now imagine if your children are consuming these kind of food every day over a period of time, definitely it is not gut. There is one more disease which is very, very dangerous and which is happening in and out, and we as doctors are seeing it regularly. So what is that? In our next coming slides. How many of you drink beer? A lot of people would consume beer, right? Beer has gluten in it because it's a malted barley. So in that way, what happens is some liquors have added wheat. So you have to be very, very careful, especially if you are drinking beer regularly. If you're very commonly, what you would see is they call it as beer belly, right? The person's stomach will be very huge. And these guys don't drink any alcohol, but except beer. Look at the situation here. This particular product, so-called beer, which is the cheapest, on the market for you, drinks. And when you consume this, and when there is gluten in it, you know what kind of damage it can do for your intestines? It definitely will screw up your, if you're going to drink this on a regular basis, definitely gluten, if it is there. Unless your beer specifically mentions it's totally gluten-free, then it's a different ball game. Now, when you see a lot of restaurants and the catering people who are preparing some gravies for your food, the gravy is the liquid what they give you, it'll be very thick. So they use gluten related, because gluten is something like a gummy, it's like a very slimy and gummy thing coming out of it. And when it is there, of course, it takes a little longer time, even for digestion. If you look at, definitely it takes a little longer time. Many canned food, if you look at, definitely has gluten in it. And of course, as I mentioned, your candy chips, your toothpaste, soya sauce, and today you have a lot of meat substitutes, the vegetarian chicken, the vegetarian this one, a lot of things are there. Now this factories use a lot of gluten related ingredients, which are easy, it'll be easily stuck into that particular products. It's very easy. And imagine, even though it's a vegetarian, and if you're going to eat this particular brand and then eating it on a regular basis, you are screwing up your intestines. Now, saying that, what exactly is wheat? Wheat, when you break down it into two parts, one it contains the protein, the other one is a lecithin. Now, protein, once again, inside what protein is that? It's called the gluten. And there are three different ingredients in that gluten. Is one is gliadin, the other is gluteomorphin, and then one is glutenin. Can you see the thing there? Glutenin is the one which is a sticky consistency substance which is there in the gluten. So if it is you're consuming gluten, what would happen is it will be a sticky substance, and when it goes inside your intestine, it gets stuck inside. Just for example, if you're going to eat roti canai, okay, of course it's made from the polished flour from wheat only, but maida, it's called maida actually, and it has very, very high gluten. Now you would see when you pull the thing, it will be like a chewing gum. You can pull it out, right? You would have seen the way they toss up and then prepare your roti canai. Now what happens is this sticky. So when you consume this food, what happens? It goes inside and then it forms a sticky layer, and in fact your system wants to digest it, but it can't digest because you try to squeeze it up, it just expands. It doesn't get digested. Haven't you seen when they when they make it flat on the surface for them to put it for the roti canai on the stove there, when they pull it, actually it just opens up into a very sticky round this one, right? Now you look into it, and then of course they cook it and then give it to you. When it goes inside your stomach, the same stickiness will be there, even though it is cooked. But what will happen is your system finds it difficult to digest. But at the end of the day, of course, it gets digested to an extent, and then finally it clears up. But there is something called the gliadin. When you look at the thing, there is something called transglutaminase. Now this is a particular enzyme which is there. Now, in your thyroid, you would have this particular transglutaminase enzyme. Now, this is also the same, right? So what happens is your body will produce antibodies. That means it will go and fight against its own transmitter, because this transmitters is exactly mimicking the transmitters of your thyroid. So your when you're eating this gluten stuff, your body is thinking that it is a foreign body, and it will start going and attacking our own body transmitters, which is actually produced by our thyroid. Now imagine when your thyroid gets affected, what will happen? You will get thyroid diseases. Very simple, very easy to understand is when you have this kind of problem, gluten sensitivity, because gluten can give rise to a lot of autoimmune diseases. I'm going to show you. So what happens when you are consuming gluten? There can be more than 55 diseases which can be created because of this particular gluten, the protein called gluten. Now, out of that, if I'm going to just speak about autoimmune response of the body. Autoimmune response. You would have heard a lot of people saying autoimmune diseases. Now, if you're looking at autoimmune diseases, what happens? It's like your own body fighting around. It's like that, the dog catching its own tail and running and running and running. Where it will be there only, something like that. On the either side, you see a person trying to fight in the mirror his own self, his own image. Is it possible? But yes, here what happens is our own body system fights against our own self, is called autoimmune diseases. Now, how many diseases can be there in autoimmune? There are hundreds of diseases which is labeled as autoimmune disease. Now, if you're looking at the autoimmune disease, very commonly, if you're looking at the intestine, ulcerative colitis is something to do with your intestine. It is an autoimmune disease. Thyroid also is an autoimmune disease. You can go into, there are certain situations of including diabetes. It can be a liver problem. It can be a lung problem. It can be a brain problem. Wherever it can create something where we cannot do anything. So what is the best treatment when you're looking at autoimmune responses? They will be put on steroids. This is the mainstream of management in most of the autoimmune related, but of course, specifically there are diseases. But if you look at how do we control is, if we can know exactly it is because of gluten, then you have to avoid the gluten. But there can be other reasons. It can be hereditary, it can be other factors, environmental factors. It can be anything which can trigger your autoimmune disease. Like we see a lot of autoimmune diseases now after vaccination. We are seeing it. So what's happening is we do not know which is the trigger factor, but there is a trigger. But if gluten is your trigger factor, then you should try to avoid this gluten and then consume such kind of food which is gluten-free, so that it is much more safer for you in your body. Now, what are the effects of gluten? If it is there, what can happen? It can create a brain fogging. That means you cannot think, it's just blank. You can have attention deficit syndrome. You can have anxiety. Have you ever seen people anxious? Yes, we are seeing. But how many of us know that it could be because of gluten? We do not know. So here what I would say is we have to change. What in my practice I have seen is the moment you change the gut by giving the nutrition for your gut, by giving the required amino acids, required vitamins, nutraceuticals into your gut system. And when it starts healing, so beautifully, the symptoms will come down. So it can be varying from your bipolar disorder to your depression to schizophrenia to even vertigo, giddiness. Many times you go to a doctor and tell that you're having vertigo. Finally, there are only two drugs they will give you, either this or that. Finally, for what? You will feel sedated and your giddiness will come down. After some time, what will happen? You also will get fed up and then you will stop taking the medication. Once again, you will be going on. Suddenly, after some time, once again, the vertigo will come. So here I would say is we have to look into gluten as one of the major problem which is causing you the diseases here. So in that way, when you look at leaky gut is something very, very common. And leaky gut is some wherein you will be losing a lot of nutrients, and your gut will be absorbing a lot of poisons inside. See, of course, when we eat our food, there's a lot of pesticides, toxic metals. It's all there. And when it goes, if your gut is healthy, it will just push it out and then you will be clear in your bowels. But if it is a leaky gut, that means that there is a gap in between. So it goes inside. So the poisons all go inside, the bacteria can go inside. And then, of course, the whole system, the whole organism as a human being, can face problems. There is something called molecular mimicry which can happen because of gluten. As I told you, the thyroid transglutaminase. That is something which your gluten can mimic the same like thyroid, and then of course our body will start fighting against it. And it can cause death of neurons in your brain, and especially the cerebrum. And then there can be gluten ataxia. Like you would have seen people, they'll be walking down the stairs and suddenly they trip and fall because they don't know why they tripped and fall. So here there is something we call it as ataxia, but it has been connected to gluten, and which is almost 40%, 40% of it is idiopathic. That means they say we don't know the reason, but we should look into whether is it gluten or not. If it is gluten, then avoid it, then life will be much more easier for you. Now, saying this, what exactly is this mimicry molecule is produced inside the body is your body identifies your own as your foreign body and starts fighting against it. This is what is all about your mimicry molecules and the autoimmune disease which is happening inside your body. That means your body fights against its own self. Now the question is, how healthy are you? Ask yourself. Many of us will say we are very, very healthy, doc. We have no issues. But at the end of the day, what happens is when you check their cellular level, they will be having a lot of problems. And the best solution I would give you is as long as your body can heal itself and then, come out of the illnesses, it's okay. See, for example, I feel I'm very healthy. That's what I feel. But inside, I wouldn't know. In spite of, my food habits is very, very careful, regular exercise, I avoid most of the time gluten, we avoid it. But still, in spite of all this, I still can fall sick. But as of today, yes, it is very well balanced. So the same way I request you all also, if your body can heal itself and you don't fall sick on a regular basis and you don't have any diseases, then that is fantastic. That means your body is very good. But many times, are we prepared to face a disease? It will come like a tsunami and without a warning, especially when you're 50 plus and suddenly you just go for a checkup and then the doctor says, hey, you have cancer stage 4. This is what is a very, very common problem which we are facing. And there are many times you would notice that our age group of 50 plus people, they will be fine. One morning, drop dead. One morning, they don't wake up. It's a very, very common factor. So in this kind of journey of life, what you need to do is you should better prepare yourself on a daily basis so that have the right kind of food and get healed. I've seen a lot of stage 4 cancer people getting healed. How is that? Because of their positive mentality. Now, do you want to surrender disease? These are the two things many times people will have. Either they are too relaxed into their not knowing what's happening inside the body, or they say what to do with this disease, and then they won't even look at what are the solutions available in the market and what are the other ways they can heal themselves. They won't look at. So here I would request every one of you is you have to really, really look into yourself. Take care of your health, which is very, very important. Don't take it for granted. Life is so beautiful that when we are all born as a human being, we all need to give value to this beautiful body, which is $1 million worth it. Now you nobody can buy your body, because it's so expensive. But of course, you want to sell your body. Who is going to buy? Who is going to pay 1 billion or 2 billion and then buy your body and keep where? What do they want to do? Even if you are one of the top guys in the world, what is the salary they can give you? It's not going to be too big a salary for you. But the organs, your system, which is working for you, is all $1 million worth. So better take care of them. Now, many times, by the time you realize that the disease is set in, it's too late. And then after that, you want to cry, you want to go to, from one temple to another temple, or from one place of worship to another place, or one doctor to another doctor. Things are not going to be easy. It will be very, very difficult. So you better buck up and then start looking at life. And especially gut health plays a very, very important role. So you need to take care of your gut health. So disease is basically you're out of ease. That is when you have a disease. That means you're not at ease. There is a lot of uneasiness which is there inside you. Now, it can be in the form of aches and pains. It can be in the form of uncontrolled sugar level, uncontrolled blood pressure. It can be in the form of uncontrolled your kidney issues. There are so many things can happen. But even if you are picking it up earlier, life will be much more easier because at least your body will be giving you signs and symptoms. Only thing you have to realize that it is there. Now, most of us, 80 to 90%, don't even realize that we have a disease. It's very, very common. And I've very rarely seen people coming to me and say, hey, doc, I want to just check the cellular health well in advance so that I know what's happening. Because for me, if you ask, if I'm going to check even a 5-year-old child for nutritional deficiency, definitely they will have, when I do a hair analysis or when I do my quantum analysis, definitely they will have some kind of deficiency. But don't you think it is a good idea to know your deficiencies? At least check once in 6 months and see what is necessary and just supplement your body with that. The moment you start supplementing your body with the required nutrition, your body knows what to do. It will heal itself. Healing of your body, it can do wonderfully on its own. You don't need to do anything for it, provided you give the body the sufficient nutrition. Now, in our body, if you look at, there are a lot of many other organisms, thousands and thousands of organisms are cohabiting. That means they're all living inside. Only thing you don't know. The moment you die and you leave the body open and don't do anything, just leave it open. Within a week's time, you can see start worms coming out. The body will bloat up. Everything will break up, and then the worms will start. Then, of course, the animals will start eating. All this will happen. Now, when there are a lot of other organisms which are actually a part and parcel of our body, what should we do? We should complement, isn't it? Because they are complementing us, we also should complement them. So what are you going to do? Now, in this, what you need to understand is we have three types of people inside our system. One is the bad guys. That is your bacteria, virus, and the pathogens. They are the bad guys. The moment they come in, they'll cause a problem. Like recently, what happened with the COVID? Of course, they came in, totally wiped out a lot of people, and then, of course, they died. These are now, why is that these people, the bad guys, are so happily moving around? Because your good guys inside your system is not sufficient enough. So the second type of guys inside your body is your good guys. If the good bacteria are there, definitely they will be able to fight against the bad bacteria, provided their number is good, and of course our immune system gets boosted up. Now you would have seen a lot of people, like even advertisement giving that please consume a lot of probiotics. Yes, probiotics consumption is very good, no doubt, no doubt. But if you have a lot of bad bacteria and then you're consuming the probiotics, is it going to help you anyway? No. I see a lot of people having a bad gut, but they'll be consuming probiotics. So here the best option would be is you need to clean these guys first. That means the bad bacteria has to be cleared up. Now, is it possible that just maybe a course of antibiotics you can clear your bad bacteria? No. Maybe the first month, yes. Maybe after 3 months, recheck if there are bad bacteria. That's where when they come to us, we in our machine, we can pick up whether you have the bad bacteria or not. It indicates, and how much also we can see totally, and then from there we can start working on, and you will see the difference within a week's time after we give the antibiotic and clear your gut. You feel very healthy. Now, the problem with the bad guys is they are bad guys, right? On the good guys is if they are good in number, they are also fine. But these guys in the center, it's called neutral. These guys are neither good nor bad. These guys will be only watching and watching and watching and watching. They don't do anything, neither good nor bad. They are neutral. Now, the problem with most of the time is these guys to get into the good is a rare possibility. But these guys getting into the bad books is very easy. That means these guys can convert themselves to bad bacteria is much, much higher than converting into good guys. So we have to be very careful. So how are you going to handle these guys? You cannot handle. When these guys will become a pathogen, we do not know. When they will become like a bad bacteria, we do not know. They'll be keeping quiet, but suddenly one fine day, they'll start. That is where we need to have lot of good bacteria inside our system. This is where your immune system has to be boosted. This is where your food habits, you should be very, very healthy. If you're looking at eating all the time in a restaurant outside, all the time eating vegetable oils, all the time eating bread, because it's easy, you are actually inviting a lot of trouble when you're 50 plus. So please be careful. So right from the beginning, if you have children at home, start giving them a lot of yogurt. There are a lot of methodology. It is not just only yogurt is the only way for you to give probiotic. There are a lot of other methods also you can good bacteria to your system. So do look into it. It is already available in the market. Now, saying that, how does a disease process goes in? It all depends on your lifestyle. If your lifestyle is not at all proper in terms of your food habits, in terms of your sleep habits, in terms of your handling your emotion, in terms of handling your stress, it turns to disease. The moment you get a disease, of course, you will get into a go and see a doctor. A doctor will, of course, if he is a doctor who talks about lifestyle changes and then sits with you and discusses with you, of course, there is a chance that you can get back. But if you're having a lot of complication, what will happen? Once again, the complication, of course, will tell you that you need to change your life. So at the end of the day, the cycle of a disease is going on and on unless you get out of the cycle and come out and then stay healthy so that there is no disease formation and there is no complication because of the disease wherein you are, you have to visit a doctor to get the guidelines or the support from a doctor. Of course, we all need doctor support. That is when really necessary. Please go and see the doctor, get the right kind of advice, get the right kind of support from them. You need to. But on the other side, if you see, you need to really, really change the way you are living. Your lifestyle has to be changed. Thought patterns has to be changed. Your food habits has to be changed. So you need to plan what you want in your life and then start working on it. Now, gut health is foremost important in today's challenging situation. Why? Because most of us are so easily sitting at home, just give a phone call for the food panda, food grab, you name it, it's there. One phone call. What you want from which restaurant, it's already there. And they supply to you. It comes to your doorstep. Now, is it a good idea? Yes, it can be a good idea on one side because you today husband and wife both are working, it's not possible. Yes, fine. It's all very good. Your excuses, what you give is fantastic. I can accept it. But do you think your gut will accept it? Your gut system won't accept. Will your immune system accept it? Will your heart accept it? No, they say, sorry, you don't give us the right food. We will manifest in the form of a disease. They will change it. Maybe now you don't realize, but don't tell me that after 10 years or 15 years of your working and you have a lot of money, but you don't have the healthy lifestyle or a healthy life. What is the point in having money, but your health is already totally screwed up? What do you want to do with that? So here, invest a little time and dedication to prevent the disease. Every day you need to. What food are you eating? Prepare. You have to spare some time. For example, if husband and wife both are working and you have to make some time, 30 minutes of time to cook food. You have to chat out. Now just imagine, husband and wife working. Suddenly husband gets cancer and the doctor says you have to give only home cooked food and you have to prepare this food. Don't you think you as a wife, even though you're working, don't you think you will make time to prepare? Because why? Your husband is dying, man. So automatically you feel you want to spend that little time. So the same little time, why didn't you not spare before when there was an opportunity for you to spare the time and then start cooking? Now here, why not? If it's a husband, both of you exchange this methodology of cooking. One day let the husband cook a little bit. Learn, guys. There's nothing wrong in the cooking. Actually, you can learn it. So here it is a balance of both of you in this today's world of biggest challenge of your job, your stress. Everything is really challenging. When it is challenging, the food what you after all you see, you can earn money, everything, but you cannot eat any of the metals or any other thing from outside. You can eat only the food. So for the food only you go run around, and then of course you want to buy a house, all these you need money, right? But when you're going out like this, and then at the end of the day, this beautiful body or the home for your soul is totally gone with diseases. And after 50, you get a lot of diseases. And that time you want to find a solution. How you can find a solution? You cannot. So please, your focus should be on eating the right food. And of course, when you eat food, what is the next thing you will do is drink water, isn't it? But very smartly, when you go to probably a McDonald's, do they give? Have you ever seen water being supplied in KFC or McDonald's? I don't think so. They'll never give you that. But they will give you a free Coca-Cola or a Pepsi drink, very beautifully, one big glass. They are giving it free, right? And you also are so happy, go with the family and then you get them the drink because it's free. But what are the toxic effect? What is the kind of disadvantage your body goes through because you're drinking that? Why you cannot drink water? Why they cannot give water? The question is, water is such a simple thing. Why they don't want to give? Because that's the business tricks, and that's what is business all about. They don't want to. You fall sick, that's your problem. Of course, if you fall sick, you go to the hospital. You don't go to KFC or McDonald's. But the reason is from there. It starts from there. So do not allow your disease to rule you. Very, very important. So in that way, there is a little bit of benefit that we need to, why should you drink sufficient amount of water? Because water has many functions, which includes carrying of oxygen, your food is being carried through the water, the nutrients are carried, and of course the wastage clearance. All this happens only when you drink sufficient amount of water. Now, over the period of time, I found that there are a lot of people drinking water, but the water doesn't go inside your cell because the molecular structure of the water is not small enough for it to go inside your cell. If it doesn't go inside your cell, no doubt there is another method called diffusion, wherein this water goes near the wall and it gets sucked inside, but it won't be a full 100% water going inside your cell. If the cells are hydrated, you can actually see that in one drop of blood. Put one drop of blood under the microscope and see whether your hydration is perfect or not. If hydration is perfect, all the cells will be round and then circulating in a much more higher speed. And of course, the energy of the cells are much more good when the water is energized. Now, in that way, what is happening is, for us, we have the terahertz resonated water with the latest machine which they have released, and the frequency is around 7.6 hertz once you resonate, and the molecular structure is around 2 nanometer, and the viscosity of the water is around minus A680. Other than that, there are a lot of good properties, like it's an antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, anti-radiation, anti-aging. So many good. In fact, when you drink this water, there are a lot of things can change in the DNA. Only thing is, many of you will be thinking, hey, doc, I am drinking this water for the past 3 years, but still have a lot of deficiency. When you check and tell me why is this deficiency happening in spite of drinking the terahertz water? Now, in spite of drinking terahertz water, there can be a situation where there are some areas of attention which your body needs. It will tell you in the form of a disease. If you get it, you better look into it. It's big. Why I say this is, there are a lot of good benefits by drinking the water. You would have solved the problem of probably diabetes, probably blood pressure has come down, probably your uric acid has come down, probably your cancer is much better now. All these are happening. Why? Because you drank the water, and there are some good benefits. Your body is own mechanism is able to recognize it. But maybe there are some time when you drink terahertz water also, in spite of that, you still will be facing some problem, is because of the nutrition. So please look into the nutritional part of it. Maybe if your water drinking is perfect, you still have to look into the nutritional aspect of your food. So that is also very, very important. So just drinking water is not enough for you. You have to look into a much more deeper aspect. Now, saying that drinking water to be healthy is very, very important, because not only you can actually prevent a disease, and there are a lot of things which can happen once you start, drinking sufficient amount of water. Because even if you don't eat your food, you still can survive just by drinking the water. So at least when the water is there, there will be a lot of positive energy going inside, because I've showed you in many times that the energy of our terahertz water is very, very high. It's almost 18 inches of vibration, which is very, very good. But at the same time, if your food habits is not a good one, and you go on whacking all the restaurant food and eating food outside, and you're drinking terrace water, chances are very high that you may still face a disease or may feel still have problems. Why? It's not because of the terrace water, but it's because of the lack of nutrients and lack of proper discipline in your life. This is where there needs to be a differentiation. And probably when you are recommending terrace water, and they would have bought the terrace unit because you said so, and then of course, as a friend, definitely they will respect you and buy it. But after drinking, they would be still looking at their disease is not improved, and they would call up and tell you, "Hey, look, I've been drinking water for so long, and I don't find any changes." So you need to say they need to look into their cellular health, because cellular health only when they come to us, that is when we can actually check your what is that? Check your cellular health. Thereby, we can know exactly are you having any diseases or are you having a subclinical health which is already manifesting in the form of a situation where it can be in the form of a pain, it can be in the form of uneasiness, or you won't feel anything, but there is some subclinical thing happening. So in the world, if you look at the number of people who are all subclinically having some diseases is 80%. So that means 80% of the population are subclinically not healthy. So you can advise drinking this water itself is a biggest blessing for them, because at least drinking the water can help them to become much more healthier. And of course, other than that, they have to look into nutrition part of it, their mindset, their lifestyle of handling stress, all this comes into a play. So here it's very, very important for you to look into drinking water plays a very, very important. So finally here on today's gluten and gut health plays a very, very important role in our health. Why? There are a lot of disease related to the gut, and the gluten what is very, very commonly available. You go to any place, roti chana is available, isn't it? Chapatis are available, isn't it? And of course, the bread, what we eat, go to any bakeries, there are a lot of bakery food items, which is all made from the flour, which contains gluten. So if you are a person going on eating all this food, I may say it is a junk food, but still I would request you look into what food are you eating, and then at the end of the day, if it is causing your gut health, please stop, change, and start moving forward. Now, how do you know your gut is healthy or not? As I told you the first few slides, I asked you what are the problems. You may say, "Doc, I don't have any other problem. I don't have." Then you have to come back to us. Then we will do our cellular checking, either the hair analysis or white quantum I can do, and then we can actually look into, is your gut system healthy or not. Immediately with one screening, you can tell you what's happening. And then after that, how do you know whether you're improving or not? Take the supportive nutraceuticals and the supportive treatment, what we give for you for 1 week to 15 days, you should feel the difference. You should feel the difference, because we are looking at making you more healthier. So making you healthier starts with your breathing, starts with your regular exercise, starts with your food habits, starts with your ambience in your room, starts with your probiotics, what you're consuming, starts with your nutraceuticals, what you're consuming. Some people will ask, "Doc, why should I take any vitamins?" Fine. Yeah. What I uh, understand is you don't need vitamins. But how do you know that what vitamin is a deficiency or your vitamins are? Because in the public, if you see, most of them are consuming omega-3s, vitamin C, and B complex. But for your body, you need around 92 vitamins, minerals, trace elements, carbohydrates, proteins, fats. We all need it. 90 plus ingredients we need it for us to be healthy. So saying that keeping your gut health is very, very important. Fasting once in a while, at least once in a week, please do the fasting. Definitely it can help you to recoup back. There are other ways of looking at your gut health is take a lot of yogurt, take supplements of probiotics. It is available, but you have to clear the bad guys and then only put in the probiotic. Because I've seen a lot of people taking probiotics continuously, but at the end of the day, their disease is not improved. They still have a problem. But if you are from the younger age, definitely please train your children to drink curds. Curds or yogurt is something you need to prepare at home. Do not buy the ready-made yogurt which is available. Why? Because they use additives. If they use additives, just imagine now you prepare a fresh yogurt. In my home, we prepare it every alternate days. But you cannot keep it for too long. Even the third day, the sourness of the yogurt becomes so this one that you cannot drink. It is not possible. But the very first day, when the yogurt is made, it's so tasty. You would love it actually. In fact, I prefer a buffalo milk yogurt because it contains a lot of good nutrition and it is tasting very good. So here, if you're looking at yogurt, you need to prepare by yourself. If possible, every alternate days, prepare in a small cup so that all of you eat and then finish it off. Prepare a fresh one. So make sure that for your children, right from the beginning, give them yogurt. It's a very staple diet and it would be really good. In fact, my son, his staple diet every day is afternoon curd rice, night also curd rice. But if you check his bioquantum analysis, everything is absolutely normal. He doesn't have any vitamin deficiency, except here and there little problems. Otherwise, he's a healthy individual. Why? Because he eats only curd rice, nothing else. And of course, he consumes a little bit of eggs. He does consume. So what you need to understand is for us to be healthy, it's not that you need to eat all the fancy food which is available. Because many times when I say that I'm a vegetarian and I eat only vegetarian, people just look up and down and then think that how this guy can survive with just vegetarian food. But not many people understand that with the vegetarian vegetables, you can prepare nothing less than 80 varieties of food, different foods you can prepare with our vegetarian. But if you're looking at non-vegetarian, how many non-vegetarian can you prepare? Maximum will be this side or that side you go will be 10 or 15 maximum. That's all. But with vegetables, there are so many vegetables available in the market. So imagine you can just prepare one dish itself, and your combined mix also, like a rojak you mix also is still possible. So at the end of the day, vegetarian diet is definitely a good option for you to keep your gut. So saying that you all need to take care of your gut is very important. And of course, on this 30 minutes or 45 minutes, I can't be covering a whole lot about gluten. Let's see if there is anything next week I need to really share that information. I will come back with the gluten part 2 next week. Otherwise, I might come with a new topic. So saying that, thank you very much for this wonderful time and patience for you all to wait and then listen to this wonderful sharing of health topics. So thank you very much, and over to you, Brian. Thank you.